In a lush, fragrant garden, bathed in the golden light of a setting sun, lived a nightingale, whose song echoed through the air with unmatched beauty. Each night, her melodious notes danced on the breeze, filling the world with joy. Yet, despite her enchanting voice and the serene world around her, the nightingale carried a deep, unspoken sorrow in her heart. She longed for true love, a love that could be as eternal and pure as her song. One evening, as the stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, a young student entered the garden. His eyes were clouded with sadness, and he carried a heavy burden in his heart. He had fallen deeply in love with a beautiful girl, and in return for her affection, she demanded a single red rose. But in the entire garden, there was not a red rose to be found. Desperate, the student sat under a rose bush, sighing in despair. The nightingale, perched on a nearby branch, overheard his sorrowful lament. Moved by the student's pain, she fluttered down beside him and asked gently, "Why do you weep, young man?" The student looked up, surprised to see the bird so near. He explained his plight. "I love a girl who has asked for a red rose as proof of my love, but there is no red rose in this garden, and without it, she will not return my affection." The nightingale listened carefully and then spoke with determination. "I will help you. I will find a red rose for you, but in return, you must promise me something." The student, eager and grateful, nodded quickly. "Anything. I will do whatever it takes." With a graceful flap of her wings, the nightingale took flight, soaring through the air in search of the perfect red rose. She flew across fields and rivers, through forests and valleys, but every rose she encountered was either too pale or too withered. She knew the rose she sought had to be the most beautiful and vibrant one, worthy of the student's love. Finally, after much searching, she came upon a garden where a single red rose bloomed, its petals glowing like a flame in the dimming light. But to obtain the rose, the nightingale knew there would be a price to pay. The stem of the rose was guarded by a sharp thorn, and in order to pluck it, the nightingale would have to sacrifice something precious. Without hesitation, she pressed her chest against the thorn. The sharp pain of the thorn pierced her heart, and blood began to flow. But as the rose was freed, the nightingale felt an overwhelming sense of peace, knowing that her sacrifice would bring love to the student. With the rose clutched tightly in her beak, she flew back to the garden. When the nightingale returned, she found the student still waiting, his face brightening with hope at the sight of the red rose. She landed beside him, her wings fluttering weakly. "Here is the rose," she said softly, her voice filled with exhaustion. "Now you have what you need to win her heart." The student's eyes sparkled with gratitude as he took the rose from her. "Thank you. I will give this to her immediately." But as he turned to leave, the nightingale collapsed to the ground, her wings no longer able to carry her. The pain from the thorn's wound was too much, and with her final breath, she lay still beneath the rose bush, her song forever silenced. The student rushed to the girl's house, clutching the rose tightly in his hand. He knocked eagerly at her door, his heart racing. The girl opened it and smiled when she saw him holding the rose, but her smile soon faded. "What is this?" she said with a slight laugh. "I told you I would only love someone who could offer me something of true value, like gold or jewels. A mere rose means nothing to me." The student stood stunned, his heart breaking. He tried to explain, but the girl turned away, dismissing him without a second thought. With a heavy heart, he left, casting the rose aside in his sorrow. Meanwhile, in the garden, the nightingale's lifeless body lay forgotten beneath the rose bush. Her sacrifice, pure and selfless, had gone unnoticed by the world. The rose, too, was discarded, no longer a symbol of love, but a forgotten token of a broken promise. The garden fell silent, save for the rustling of the wind, and the stars above shone indifferently. The nightingale's song had ended, her sacrifice a bittersweet reminder of the fragility of love and the price one may pay for it.